Well, there it is, my dad's 2007 Ford Explorer Sport Trac that he's had since November of 06. If you've seen this truck on the channel before, you've probably noticed a few different things with it. Number one, you can tell it's on Steelies now. That's because I'm currently fixing up the lift kit we did so that it'll stop eating wheel bearings and other stuff. Next thing is, that's a Lincoln Aviator mirror. That's something I've wanted to do since 2007, back when I was in middle school. So today's video is going to be my little side quest Sunday, where I pop this mirror on. I've already gotten this side up, running and wired up. Turn signals work, power window stuff works. The only stuff that I didn't do was the memory settings and the heated windshield element. My dad didn't want the heated window thing working because, you know, we do live in Vegas and it doesn't really make sense to tear everything apart and do all that shit just to get it done. But this was actually a lot easier than I thought it was, and there's one little caveat that I'm going to show you towards the end of the video, but it's definitely a worthwhile mod. For like 30 bucks I got these mirrors from the junkyard for. The puddle lamp also does work. So here is the driver's side door. You can see it looks like a truck that we've had for a decade that's been beaten on and used to carry kids every chance it's gotten. So I'll get started. Step one, obviously, is going to be to remove the door panel. Now, there's a few different screws, which I'll start showing you step by step how to get off. Okay, so we're going to start from the bottom and move up in terms of the screws. There's going to be two screws here on the bottom of the door panel. You can see that those are the black screws. These are all going to be 7 millimeters. You can see they're pretty easy to get off. I'm not even using a ratchet. Okay, so once those two bottom screws are off, what you're going to want to do is pop this little trim panel off. If your Explorer is as old as ours and has seen as much abuse as ours has, these two little plastic clips are probably going to break off. I'll figure that out later. So there's two screws here. You can see these ones are both 7 millimeters as well, but they're more machine screws. The only two screws that are more plastic trim screws are going to be the ones on the bottom. The rest of the screws that we're going to be pulling off today are going to be machine screws. It's important to keep that distinction in mind when you're putting this back together, but it's a relatively simple process. So pop these guys out right here. So now once these two screws are pulled off, you're going to want to pull off this trim panel right here. So that one, damn it. Again, all these plastic trim pieces always break. But right over here, you're going to have two screws. You can see one in there and one right down there. Those two are going to come off as well. Okay, so now those two screws are off. Now, this is a big distinction between like Ford truck door panels and most other cars. This is not a pull-off door panel, it's a pull-up door panel. What do I mean by that? Simply speaking, pull up on the door panel. Don't try and pull it straight out, otherwise you will break the tabs and the clips in the back. This is going to be a two-handed job, but yeah. Just pull this guy up and unhook the hooks that are in the actual door itself, and then the door panel will just slide off and we can let it rest off that position. So it looks like somebody else has been here before and they did a really shit job of taking it apart. Wow. That door panel was nowhere near as messed up, and I'm pretty sure this was the Safe Light guys doing, because like about 10 years ago something happened and you can see there's pieces broken off and just falling off the entire, well, shit. So to get the mirror off, you want to carefully take this foam insulating pad off. Now you can see right here there is places for the door panel to hook on here, so you want to be really careful with this panel, and eventually know that you're probably going to be saving it and reusing it. This glue might not be sticking as well, but we can always go over with that with something else later on. You'll see 3 bolts back here, which are going to be holding on the OEM Ford Explorer mirror. Okay, so there are those. And here is the connector. Now this connector is going to be quite a bit of a pain in the ass to rewire. Well, not a pain in the ass, but it's going to be the slightly more complicated step of this whole process. You want to save this guy, be nice and careful, because we're not going to be touching the door harness itself. We're going to be messing with the mirror harness. Now to remove this, it's going to be 3 little bolts. We're going to support this on the other side and carefully take it off. I believe these are 10 millimeters. maybe 11. Okay, now that I carefully removed the mirror from its location, what we want to do is separate this plug from the mirror, because we are going to be cutting this plug off and transplanting it to our Lincoln mirror. So it's going to be pretty simple. I know I said it was complicated, but that's because it just took me some time to figure out the wiring of this thing. But again, super simple. So pull that one off right there, say that, and grab this bad boy. The reason I'm cutting the plug off the mirror itself and not the actual harness of the door, I want to try and maintain the bigger harnesses on this truck to be as close to OEM as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab the Lincoln mirror real quick, pop it on here, and show you that actually installing the mirror itself is definitely the easiest part of the whole process. So one big thing you'll notice between the two harnesses, one is that this mirror is a male connection, right here, and the Escape or the Explorer mirror is a female connection. So cutting this off and like rewiring it is definitely have to be done kind of thing. So step one, you line this guy up, put the bolts in, and feed the little cable through that hole. Super easy process. I will say one thing I'm really nervous about. The other mirror didn't have this, but in here you can tell something is broken inside this mirror. So I'm hoping it's nothing major and that the mirror still functions properly. Okay, so for this process, I'm going to be keeping the motor, the power mirror, the puddle lamp, and I'm going to be adding the turn signal wire. So with the turn signal being the only thing we are going to add, we're going to let go of the power heated mirror function and the memory mirror function for the main reason of we don't really need the heated mirrors in Vegas, and two, we don't have the rest of the memory seat position system in this truck, so it's not really worth the effort to install it. The big difference when it comes to installing this is the simple fact is we're not going to need most of these wires, right? So if you look right on here onto the actual connector itself, you can see that there are little numbers at the base of this plug. Let me see what I can do real quick. Give me 1 second. If you can see those numbers at the base of that plug, we're going to be using these numbers to transplant the pin out. Because if you look also at the Ford Explorer connector, you can also see very similar numbers. We're not necessarily going to be following the colors of the wire, but the numbers. Now, I did find pinouts for this truck, for the Aviator and the Explorer mirror, on the Ford Explorer forum post from quite a while ago. I'm going to be going off of that. I'm going to be putting the information on here on the screen, so that way you can take a look at it, and I'll link to the original forum post in the description below. That way you can be in the same position and know what you're doing. So step one is going to be to cut this guy off right here. Okay, so I've stripped off the wires on this one. Now the first thing we're going to do is isolate pin number 3 on this one, which is going to be yellow, and then pins 1 and 3 on this one, which are going to be yellow and blue, and let's see what this other color is, just straight yellow and red. Now those two are going to be tied together and attached to pin 3 on here. So pin 3 on this one goes to pin 1 and 3 on the Aviator harness. Okay, so the next step you want to do is grab pin number 2 from the Aviator harness and connect that to pin number 1 on the Ford Explorer harness. In this particular side, it's going blue to blue. I will mention that all the sides our colors are different on the passenger side, but they follow the same pin out. So pin 1 to pin 2, Explorer side pin 1, Aviator side pin 2. Okay, so the next pin that's going to be going is pin number 7 on the Explorer harness, going to pin number 4 on the Aviator harness. On this side, it is red to red. Okay, so the next pin that's going to be going on is pin number 5, which is black. And that's going to be going on to pin number 12 here, which is black. I believe that these two wire colors are the same for the passenger side. Okay, so the next wire that's going to be going on is going to be pin 6 to pin 11. This is going to be for the puddle lamp. Okay, so now with all of the wires that were provided on the Explorer itself from the factory hooked up, we can see that here's the switch. We can see the right goes right, left goes left. Now here's that caveat I was talking about. When I go down here, it goes up. When I go up here, it goes down. Now the passenger side does the same thing. I was initially going to just take the wires off the back of the switch and flip them, but my dad is like, no, that's a bit too much, just leave it the way it is, it's totally fine. You can also see the puddle lamp works fine. The next thing we need to wire up is going to be the turn signal. Luckily, the turn signal uses a common ground with the rest of the harness, so all we need to do is wire up a positive connection to the actual headlight itself. You can see I've already taken it off because I did the passenger side and I wanted to make sure which light bulb was not the same common bulb in between both sides. So we're going to do that now. So the signal lamp on this thing is going to be number 10, which is going to be the black and pink wire. Also, if your car does have the window defrost and you want to use it, it is going to be plug number 4 on the Ford Explorer to plug number 9 on the Aviator. But I don't have that, so I'm not too worried about it. What we're going to do right here is grab this pink and black wire and extend it, route it down into here, in through this door jamb, and into the front of the vehicle to the headlight. But first I'm going to solder up these connections before I forget. Okay, so my camera battery is currently dead, so I'm shooting this on my phone. Now, I've gotten all these wires heat shrunk and popped in here, so that's nice and good. That's set to go, right? Next step is to wire up the turn signal. The turn signal is the only thing I'm hooking up today that is not going through this original OEM plug. What I ended up doing is cutting the black and pink wire, which is the same on both sides, and attaching a jumper wire, which is going to be this blue wire, which you see down here. I routed it down through here. I popped off this little rubber grommet, and I'm currently in the process of fishing it through here. I'm taking this clip off. Okay, so now that I've gotten this little blue wire straight in through here, you can see I routed it up through here. Originally, I was just going to take the whole fender off and do it that way, but on both sides it requires quite a lot more work than you would think. So I route the wire up through here. I make sure it's clear of the fender, and then I come over to this side. I pull part of the fender back, and then I route the wire straight under through there so you can't see it up from here. And then I tuck it in right around here so you can't see it there either. And then it goes underneath this lip. And then comes out, goes down into here. And then we splice into the turn signal bulb right here. Now to take off the headlights, it's only 3 bolts. There's a bolt here, and then a bolt here. It's super easy. So as far as which wire to tap into with the headlight, what I did is I pulled out both headlights. I compared the 3 wires. Now we know that 2 of the wires have to be the same color because there 2 are the marker light power, ground, and then the turn signal power. So what I did right here is I noted that 1 wire was black and gray, 1 wire was blue and white, and 1 wire was yellow and purple. So coming over to this side, we can see that 1 wire is black and green, 1 wire is blue and white, and 1 wire is green and blue. Next thing I did is I looked at the positioning on the pinout. You can see right here the clip is on this side, and the wires 1, 2, and 3 with this guy over here. So coming over to this side, looking right over here, clip is on this side, 1, 2, and 3 with clip down on that side. So I'm going to be splicing into this wire right here. Let's hope it works. Okay, so the Aviator mirrors are now on, and yes, that's on too. That's going to be a different video in a bit. But everything does work really well, and to be totally straight with you, for like a $30 mod from the junkyard, this works really well. It adds a lot more mirror surface area and turn signals, which makes it really cool. And overall, it's quite bright. Like, it definitely lets the vehicles in your blind spot know that you're about to turn. Overall, I think it's a great safety thing. Like a little upgrade to Sport Tracs and Explorers. And for what I can tell, it won't just fit this generation. I'm pretty sure it'll fit the generation before this, as well as the generation before that. I'm not 100% sure, but standing from the back right here, I like it a lot. If you like this video and you want to see more stuff like this, including a bunch of other stuff, including an SCT Focus, a Mustang that might start running, maybe an IS that might start drifting. And a video for that, which should be out in a bit. Hit subscribe. Thank you for choosing our... Damn, I almost said thank you for choosing my job. I went into my job speech. I definitely want to clean out these lenses a bit and maybe put LED bulbs in there. But for now, this looks pretty awesome. I'm happy with that. Well worth the $30 or 45 or whoever knows.